From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Friday, May the 27th, 2022. A number of Jewish organizations are calling for action in the wake of several recent deadly shootings, including the school shooting in Uvalde, Texas this past Tuesday, where 19 children and 2 adults were killed, and a shooting at a grocery store in Buffalo, New York on May the 14th that left 10 people dead, which was the impetus behind the Domestic Terrorism Prevention Act, which failed to pass in the Senate yesterday. Several Jewish organizations, like the American Jewish Committee, had urged the Senate to pass the act, empowering, it wrote, the Justice Department, the Department of Homeland Security, and the FBI with the necessary tools to better combat violent extremism. Tweeting, in the wake of recent tragedies, fighting domestic terror should be a top national priority. The Rabbinical Assembly tweeted after the Texas tragedy this week that it unequivocally calls upon lawmakers to immediately take all available measures to ensure the safety of the public and limit the availability of guns. And B'nai B'rith International asked, is there ever going to be a red line, an act of gun violence so heinous that lawmakers finally enact sensible gun reform measures? Adding that, of course, sensible gun reform won't stop all gun violence, but we need to start someplace. We call on Congress to unite on this issue. We need sensible gun reform measures now. Israel's leaders mourned the massacre in Texas as well. President Isaac Herzog wrote that the death of a child is a tragedy beyond measure, let alone the killing of 19 innocent children and 2 adults. Israel joins the people of the United States in grief. And Prime Minister Naftali Bennett said Israel mourns together with the American people the horrific murder of innocent children and teachers at an elementary school in Uvalde, Texas. Our prayers are with the victims, their families, and the American people. Yom Yerushalayim, Jerusalem Day, is this Sunday, and security in Israel's capital is very high, in particular ahead of the Flag March, which traditionally makes its way through the capital's old city, including through the Muslim quarter to the Western Wall. Palestinian terror groups have threatened violence if the parade goes through the Muslim quarter, but Israel's Prime Minister Naftali Bennett said the route will go ahead as it has for decades. Israel police also posted that the parade's route will begin from the center of Jerusalem and continue throughout the Old City, ending at the Western Wall, stressing that contrary to false reports circulating on social media, the parade will not enter the Temple Mount, something that some Palestinian terror groups have suggested in an apparent effort to inflame the situation and incite violence. Yom Yerushalayim marks the anniversary of the unification of Jerusalem during the 1967 Six-Day War. Well, Israel's investigation into the death of veteran Al Jazeera journalist Shireen Abu Akleh earlier this month continues without the cooperation of the Palestinian Authority, who continues to refuse to give Israel the bullet that killed Abu Akleh. Palestinian investigators released their report yesterday, accusing Israeli troops of shooting at Abu Akleh from behind as they say she was running away from gunfire. Israel firmly rejected the report and its findings. Defense Minister Benny Gantz released a statement in response yesterday saying that the state of Israel offers its condolences following the death of Shireen Abu Akleh. The IDF is conducting an ongoing investigation into the matter in order to reveal the truth. Any claim that the IDF intentionally harms journalists or uninvolved civilians is a blatant lie. Gantz also noted a CNN report whose findings suggested that Abu Akleh was intentionally targeted. He said unilateral investigations and attempts to charge IDF soldiers with war crimes while promoting false assessments, such as the one published by CNN, undermine the ability to achieve peace and stability in the region while ultimately boosting terrorism. The Times of Israel also yesterday cited IDF Chief of Staff Aviv Kochavi saying later yesterday of Abu Akleh, it can be stated with certainty that no soldier deliberately fired at her. Israel and Morocco signed the first agreement between the two governments yesterday. The Scientific Innovation and Research Memorandum of Understanding was signed by Israel's Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, Orit Farkas-Hacohen, and Moroccan Minister of Higher Education, Scientific Research and Innovation, Abdelatif Marawi, in Casablanca. Farkas-Hacohen tweeted that Israel and Morocco have great potential in the worlds of energy, water, agriculture, desalination, and the technologies that accompany it. And she said, we will support it. Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Friday, May the 27th. Live Shabbat services are coming up at 6 o'clock from New York City's Central Synagogue, followed by Shabbat services from the Hampton Synagogue. Then at 8:30, it's the film Lea Darija, followed by a replay from the Hampton Synagogue and then a replay from Central. And coming up next, it's a look at this week's Torah Portion. And that's the JBS News Update for Friday, May the 27th, 2022. I'm Teisha Bader. Stay healthy, stay well, and Shabbat Shalom.